Moving right on through, we're now up to Medicare Part B. We've covered Medicare Part A, but I've rewritten the board here, so we'll just do a quick review. First of all, we learned under Medicare Part A that it's hospital coverage. You have 90 days of coverage before you get to the lifetime reserve days. There is a deductible of $1,156 for days 1 through 60 if you go into the hospital. From days 61 through 90, you have a copay, $289 a day, that would total $8,381. And then if you're in the hospital and you hit your lifetime reserve days at the 578, that would come to $34,000. We learned that under Medicare Part A, your worst case scenario, if you're in the hospital for 5 months, you would have a bill of $44,000. That's a lot. Now we're going to take a look at Medicare Part B. It's a little easier to understand. We're going to find it on page 36 of your book. Just flip the page. It says Medicare Part B helps cover, doesn't say covers, helps cover medically necessary services like doctor services. We also learned under Medicare Part A that that's the hospital, and doctors are not covered while you're in the hospital under Medicare Part B. They're covered, under Medicare Part A, they're covered under Medicare Part B even while you're in the hospital. So you can see while you're in the hospital, Parts A and B both work at the same time. All right, so with that said, you're welcome to read through there at the top, but let's skip on down to the bottom of page 36 because those are the important parts. Under Original Medicare, if the Part B deductible applies, and it does to most people unless you're very poor, under Original Medicare, if the Part B deductible applies, you must pay all costs until you meet the yearly Part B deductible before Medicare begins to pay its share. Wow, they make that sound like you must pay all costs. Those all costs, that should be $140. Is $140, not $147. So, and this is a yearly deductible. Very important, folks. Over here, this deductible was benefit period. This one is a yearly deductible. So under Medicare Part B, if you go to the doctor or if you're hospitalized and the doctor walks in, you're responsible for the first $140 per year. That's not the problem. Then, after your deductible is met, you typically pay 20% of the Medicare approved amount of the service. There is no yearly limit for what you pay out of pocket. So, that's where they get you, folks. We can put all this up on the board and I can make these numbers look so big, but that's not my point. My point is just to show you the realities of the situation. And if you were in the hospital for 5 months under Medicare Part A, you could be owing that much money. But folks, on this side, this 20% is so much bigger than this because you can be in the hospital, forget 5 months, you could be in for a week. And every time the doctor comes into your room, it's another 20%. When you're laying on the operating table, whatever the surgeon is getting, the Medicare approved amount, you pay 20% of. The anesthesiologist, you're paying 20% of. The outpatient surgery, you're paying 20% of. Folks, this 20% is the one that gets you, and you can be in the hospital for just a week or two and come out with this type of bill that you owe the hospital from that 20%. Now, some people will say to me, oh, you're just trying to scare people so they'll buy insurance. No, I'm really not. I'd like to see Richard Foster. He's the chief actuary of Medicare, and what he says here is very, very important. He says that Medicare does not have catastrophic coverage. We learned under Medicare Part A that you could have to pay this deductible several times in a year. We're now learning under Medicare Part B that this 20%, and you remember the line I read to you here at the very, very bottom, there is no yearly limit. There is no maximum out of pocket. There is no limit, folks. You could be in the hospital. If you're in the hospital here for 5 months and you come out with this 20% and no limit, it's going to make this look very, very, very small. This will be the smallest of the two problems. So that's why people get something else to supplement their Medicare. Here's Richard Foster while I change the board.
First of all, let me say that Medicare does not have catastrophic protection. Most beneficiaries, the great majority, 90% of them, have other supplemental coverage of one form or another, either Medigap supplemental policies or Medicare Advantage or Medicaid.
All right, there's Mr. Foster, Chief Actuary of Medicare, saying Medicare does not have catastrophic coverage and 90% of the people have something else besides Medicare. Folks, I cannot stress the importance of that enough. Stick with us. There's other options besides Medicare supplements, but for right now we're learning Medicare's Part A, Medicare Part B, and if this is what you have, original Medicare, I cannot stress enough the importance of having a Medicare supplement to go along with it. Okay, so in the book we're going to learn about Medicare supplements just really quick. On page 67 they have a wonderful chart. All Medicare supplements are now standardized. They're exactly the same. If you get one from XY company and one from AB company, folks, they're exactly the same. The only difference is the price, the premium. Now, with that said, let me clarify just a little bit. Medicare standardized Medicare supplements. So people are only allowed to sell you a Medicare supplement A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, Plan F, and all of those plans are the same is what I'm saying. A Plan F with AB company is exactly the same as a Plan F with XY company. The only difference is the cost. Now, we're going to take a look so when you're picking out a Medicare supplement, you understand how to read this chart and know what you get and what it's covered. We're going to go down it really quick. So, all Medicare supplement plans cover the same four things just right out of the gate. First thing, if you get the Plan A, we're going to see that first thing it covers is your Medicare Part A co-insurance hospital cost up to an additional 365 days after Medicare benefits are used up. So that right there, your Medicare Part A co-insurance is right here, folks. It will automatically cover these amounts. You're still going to be subject to your deductible, but if you're in the hospital for more than 60 days, it will pick up these. And when your Medicare runs out, because we talked about you only have 90 days of Medicare coverage, when and if your Medicare runs out, then your Medicare supplement would come in and pick up another 365 days of coverage so you can stay in the hospital before the government boots you out. Those evil insurance companies. Sarcasm there. You always hear me refer to them as those evil insurance companies. I tell folks, look, the government wants to save you from the insurance companies, but I think the insurance companies are saving you from the government when you get right down to it. Okay, next one down, you'll see your Medicare Part B co-insurance. It's covered by all of them, folks. That's the big one. Bingo. So we already learned that every Medicare supplement is going to cover the two big ones that put you most at risk. And by doing that, it also gives you a limit for out-of-pocket. They also cover the first 3 pints of blood. Don't get all excited about that one. Your Part A hospice also is covered. Don't get, hospice is important, but that's not the one that's going to drive you into the poorhouse, as opposed to these other two that are covered. Now that's covered under Part A. If you get Plan A, those are the things that are covered here, the blood, and the hospice. Now, under the B plan, that also covers your Part A deductible. So if you had a Medicare Plan B, it would cover your big ones here and this one. This would be the one that would not be covered yet. If you go on down to a Plan C, that picks up skilled nursing facility co-insurance. Not a big one to get excited about, folks, because first of all, you don't have a co-payment for the first several days. I forget how many off the top of my head. We'd have to go back and look. But to go into a skilled nursing facility under Medicare, you have to have been in the hospital for 3 days, get out of the hospital, go into the skilled nursing facility, and be showing daily improvement. And if you're showing daily improvement, you're probably going to be out of the skilled nursing facility before the copayment kicks in. So it's good to know that you have. It's peace of mind, but it's not a big deal, the skilled nursing facility. So, and also on Plan C, you see that we pick up foreign travel. So if you go outside of the United States, you would be covered if you had a C plan or better. And you also see that it picks up the Medicare Part B deductible, which is only $140. So that would be the Plan C plan. Let's see. You're not getting any benefits extra with the Plan D. And then, of course, the Plan F is the plan that you hear about all the time because it just covers everything. If you have a Plan F, you know it's covered. So that's how to read the supplements. That's how to understand what they are. Again, supplements vary by state. You need to get with somebody who can't give a range of price because, I live in Missouri, but just across the border in Kansas, the rules and states are different, and it's like half as much money over there. However, if you have Medicare Part A and Part B, because of your risk, highly recommend that you pick up a Medicare supplement, and you're also going to need to have a Part D drug coverage, but we'll get to that later. So that's Medicare Part A we've covered now, Medicare Part B we've covered now. We're moving on to Medicare Part C.